The Roman Empire was one of the greatest governments in history. His power stretched from Europe, Africa to Asia for more than 5 centuries. Although many mention the collapse of the Roman Empire in the 5th century, in reality it did not actually collapse until 1453 AD. During its heyday, the Roman Empire with its warriors and trading power had achieved the strongest power in history. So, how did the Roman Empire begin and expand? The Roman Empire began in 27 BC, when Octavian, the adopted son and heir of Julius Caesar, was given the title Augustus, meaning revered one, by the Roman Senate. This new title marked Octavian's elevation to the position of emperor in all but name. Ending with the Roman Republic, according to many modern historians, Octavian was given this title after emerging victorious from a series of civil wars sparked by the assassination of Julius Caesar in 44 BC. During this war, Mark Antony, Caesar's former general, fought for control of the Roman world against several of Caesar's assassins, and later he allied himself with Cleopatra against Octavian. While some republican institutions, such as the Senate, continued to function after 27 BC, their power was much reduced. Power instead became focused on Augustus and his successors. Modern-day historians sometimes use the phrase Pax Romana, Roman peace, to describe the period between 27 BC, when Octavian was given the title Augustus, and 180 AD, when Emperor Marcus Aurelius died. This phrase is sometimes used because it was a relatively stable period in Roman history, compared to the periods before and after those years. Augustus tried, in some ways, to portray his reign, which lasted until his death in AD 14, as a time of relative peace. Among the many images of him, Augustus, relatively few, mainly statues, busts and reliefs, depict him as a general, wrote Adrian Goldsworthy, a historian, in his book Pax Romana, War, Peace, and Conquest in the Roman World, as quoted by Live Science. Although Augustus wanted to portray his reign as peaceful, the reality was very different. During Augustus' reign, Roman armies fought in Iberia, conquering areas not yet under Roman control. Armies also advanced deep into what is now Germany in hopes of incorporating it into the Roman Empire. It discusses the disaster when 3 legions, including their commander, Quintilius Varus, were completely destroyed at the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest in 9 AD. The Roman historian Suetonius, who lived from around 70 to 122 AD, claims that this loss had a major impact on Augustus. They say that he was so affected that for several months in a row he cut neither his beard nor his hair, and sometimes he would bang his head against the door, crying, "Quintilius Varus, give me back my legions." And he observed the day of the disaster every year as a day of mourning and mourning, wrote Suetonius. The Roman historian Tacitus, c. 55 to 120 AD, claims that Augustus, in his last will, advised his successor Tiberius, Augustus' adopted son, not to expand the empire but to maintain it within its present boundaries. While Tiberius, who ruled from 14 to 37 AD, largely maintained power within his boundaries, future emperors did not, with several future military adventures also ending in disaster. There were also no shortages in civil wars during the Pax Romana. Emperor Caligula, who ruled from 37 to 41 AD, was assassinated by members of the Praetorian Guard, the unit tasked with protecting the emperor. Meanwhile, Nero's reign, 54 to 68 AD, ended in civil war. Emperor Domitian, r. 81 to 96 AD, was also murdered during the so-called Pax Romana. The most lasting military conquest made after Augustus' death occurred during the reign of Emperor Claudius, who reigned from AD 41 to 54. He and his successor, Nero, successfully invaded and captured England. The effort almost failed, and the Romans were almost defeated against the Iceni Queen Boudica in 60 to 61 AD. Ultimately, the Roman Empire won and held off the British until 410 AD. However, Roman attempts to invade Scotland were unsuccessful. One important effort occurred during the reign of Emperor Antoninus Pius, reigned from 138 to 161 AD. He seized part of Scotland and built a series of forts there that modern historians sometimes refer to as the Antonine Walls. His successors were unable to retain even part of Scotland, and the Roman forces eventually withdrew to Hadrian's Wall, located in northern England around 160 AD. Other Roman rulers attempted to expand the empire during their reigns. Emperor Trajan, r. 98-117, launched an ambitious effort to expand the Roman Empire, conquering Dacia, a region located around modern-day Romania. The Romans held Dacia until the 270s AD. Trajan also attempted to invade and occupy what is now Iraq. While Trajan successfully advanced into the Persian Gulf, his forces were unable to defend the region, and his successor Hadrian, 117-138 AD, withdrew from Iraq and focused on strengthening and consolidating the empire's existing borders. There were also many rebellions throughout the empire during the Pax Romana. In Judea, a failed revolt by the Jews in 66-74 AD resulted in the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, the holiest place for the Jews, by Roman forces. Then came the abandonment of Qumran, the site where the Dead Sea Scrolls were kept in nearby caves, and the destruction of rebel forces at Masada. There were more rebellions in Judea during the Pax Romana, with one revolt ending in 136 AD. More than 500,000 Jews were massacred by Roman forces, while the survivors scattered throughout the world.